This was the question that came up, which is part of the reinvention, which was, what do I want to do with the next 50 years?
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of It's My Time Now Coaching. If you're wondering what's next in your career or life, you are in the right place. Through solo and guest episodes, you'll gain practical tips, tools, and inspiration to help you uncover blocks, gain confidence, and be, do, and have what you want. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Are you feeling stuck or unfulfilled despite all your success? Discover how one Hollywood executive turned her feelings of unfulfillment into a mission of helping women build impactful lives. In this episode, I speak with the wonderful Jenna Capozzi on how you can move from feeling unfulfilled in your career or life to stepping into your true passions. Whether you're considering a new career, starting a business, or simply seeking more meaning, this conversation will give you insights on how to take bold steps towards your goals, even when you're unsure of the path ahead. In this episode, you will learn how to overcome feelings of invisibility and regain your confidence, especially after 40. Discover practical advice on pursuing multiple passions, overcoming perfectionism, and making bold moves without overthinking. And understand the importance of finding support and being part of a community that can push you closer to your goals. So tune in now and discover the tools and insights you need to become your own leader and create a life of impact. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast, a podcast helping women in career and life transitions achieve clarity on their next steps so that they can transform uncertainty into an energizing next chapter. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and my next guest will share her wisdom and expertise, especially when it comes to women's leadership. I'm pleased to have on the show today, Jenna Capozzi. Welcome, Jenna.
Hello. Thank you.
I'm just going to introduce you a little bit here. And Jenna brings over 30 years of C-level executive experience, having led innovative projects for global brands such as Samsung, Target, and BMW. And she has produced notable films and TV shows as well. She transitioned from the spotlight of Hollywood to empower the next generation of leaders. And Jenna has dedicated herself to mentoring individuals, emphasizing the importance of community support and personal growth. And Jenna is committed to the idea that leadership and purpose are crucial for lasting change. And she aims to support emerging leaders in making a meaningful impact by building an audience and assisting others on their journey. So I'm really excited to get into your story and your experience, Jenna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
I really appreciate you being on the show. And I was reading your description and your bio, and it's interesting that you actually were in Hollywood before you started what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And so could you kind of share, I mean, that's very different from most people. So can you maybe share the moment you really realized that despite your success in Hollywood and advertising, that something significant was missing in your life? And so maybe you could share what your reinvention story is.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think I had much awareness for this term reinvention until I sort of hit this point in my life of needing a reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd heard it in passing, but I don't think I really got the crux of it and the importance of it. But it was last year, and I was driving to a meeting with a client, a very lucrative client, a wonderful client. But I remember driving there and just putting my head in my hand as I was driving, thinking, wow, am I bored? I've achieved so much in my career. Yes, I've worked on films, I've worked in television, ran my own production company, work in advertising, global brands. It all sounds amazing on paper, but to fuel my soul or what my purpose is in helping others, I just was bored and thought, wow, I really don't want to do another big name commercial. And I was started to take a look at, and this was the question that came up, which is part of the reinvention, which was, what do I want to do with the next 50 years? What does that look like?
Yeah. I've heard that
50,
before.
40. Yeah, right? What
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
next 50 years? And look, I had children up into my mid 40s. So I'm an older mom. And so now that the kids are a bit older and looking at that, it's really what do I want to do? And what kept coming up as a theme and what I've enjoyed looking back over the decades in my career is I really, really enjoy helping others win, helping others achieve their goal, helping somebody overcome some sort of obstacle, whether it's personal or in business. And so I took a look at that and I really knew that that had to be factored into my reinvention plan, if you
Hmm.
will. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I like to speak. I like to help. I want people to win. But then I started seeing this really unique piece to it. And I think I've mentioned this before, but you look around at this world and you look at the social media and you look at all the influences that we have. And honestly, from Yelp to a social media influencer to what you research on Google, everything is very much based on opinion. And sometimes those opinions I don't agree with. And sometimes I don't believe that we are sending the best messages. And I thought, well, I'm going to help women who have really great messages make an impact and change. And I'm going to do that through the ways that I know, which is marketing and advertising and building an audience so that they
Hmm.
can lead and help others.
Right. Wonderful. I love that because firstly, what you say, what do I want to do with the next 50 years? Obviously as a coach, as a career transition coach, that's the question that comes most. And I love the way that you figured out like what part of what you were doing did you like actually were good at? What did you enjoy? And also what do you want to do that maybe you weren't doing in your current work that you could kind of put your values in because it seems like your value was to help people win, right? So
Yeah.
it's a really good way to position yourself to figure out what you want to do next. So I really appreciate that perspective. And so when you were deciding to do this, you focused on empowering women over 40. And so tell me about that and what was that specifically? I think you mentioned about social media and the opinions and all that. But why this demographic and what was
Well,
your
it's just smart marketing, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah, it is.
it's the group I know the most about. It's the group that I share the most reality, and the one that's the, as they like to say, the lowest hanging fruit. What I'm teaching or helping others with is fine for a teen entrepreneur. It's fine for a male entrepreneur. It's fine for somebody in a corporate setting. But what the group that I knew the most about and that I find a lot of value in, and the group that I wanted to help out of the gate was this group, women 40 plus, because if we look at it, women at this point, either they're becoming retirees or empty nesters, not necessarily at 40, but a little bit more in the 50 range,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Empty
Hmm.
nesters, retirees, kids are old enough that it's time to sort of take a look at, well, what do I want to do? Being a mom is a very important role, as we know. Helping out and building the next civilization is a super important role, but it's also kind of like it's my time. What am I going to do? How am I going to create that can contribute to your family still and everybody else? But we're important too, and we
Yeah.
have passions and values. And I also just recognize that in this group, especially the more I coach them, and I'm sure you find this too, is there's this natural purpose, if you will, lack of a better word, of just wanting to help someone else. I just
Hmm.
see that time and time again when I'm interviewing people in their first onboarding interview. It's like, well, I want to help. It's like, okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes, yes. I
That's
think that
good.
happens. Yeah, that's great. I think that happens at this stage is that we kind of start questioning how we can give back, especially as women. And it's funny you say that it's my time because my coaching program is called "It's My Time Now," right? So it's like
That's right. It's so
that's why
perfect. That's
yeah.
such a well
So,
surveyed button. Good job.
so when I was one of the other thing I was thinking as you were talking is this demographic of women, are they really being served enough? Like you know what I mean in terms of women entrepreneurs or women who are looking to start businesses, are they as supported as other demographics or is that
Surprisingly, no. I thought there would
yeah.
be a little bit more with these times, but surprisingly, no. It's interesting. Myself and I have a male friend who he started his business as an entrepreneur about 8 months before I did,
Hmm.
and he's doing quite well. And we sort of joke with each other and see how it's going and all that. And he's doing a little bit better than I am. And he'll poke fun at me. And I said, two things. First of all, you have a wife. So you have this amazing foundation and support. And it's not like my husband doesn't support me, but it's a little different. And he said, absolutely true. The second thing was, he was able to get an investment within the first 6 weeks out of the gate. I've
Mm,
actually tried a few times to get an investor and it's a no-go.
mm,
And I actually have more experience than him. And it's just interesting. I think my gender does weigh into that. Now, I don't really care and I'm doing fine and I'm pushing forward, but I think the opportunities are different. But here's something there's two things I want to say to this topic. One is per survey, women a little bit, probably 55 plus, the most surveyed button for them was that they feel invisible, that
yeah.
they are not seen anymore. And I found it fascinating. I have two clients right now in their 70s, and these women are gorgeous, fun, alive. And they're like, we ain't dead yet. But
Yeah.
it's amazing the perception. And these are gorgeous women. They are very with it, not the idea of what we probably had when we were younger, women in their 70s, right?
Right.
And they said it's invisible. They could literally be in a room and people don't see them, just walk right by. And so one of them is just very gregarious and she's out there and she has to work a little harder to get the attention.
Yeah.
And the other piece I want to say to this is that I think what the challenge is that women really do have to focus their business a bit differently than the way than men do. And the reason is because I find that women are multifaceted. We're wives or we're moms or we're volunteers, as well as being an entrepreneur and business owner. And I think what the message is out there is pick one thing, work really hard at it, and go do that. That's not how women have to work. We
Mm-mm.
actually have to juggle multiple things and be very successful at it and get things done in a short amount of time. And I'm leaning into that with the women I'm working with is you don't have to pick one thing. You do
Right.
it all, and that's okay. Now we're
Hmm.
going to manage that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting perspective. Yeah. I absolutely do hear you about the feeling invisible, for example, going back to that point. Yeah, it's crazy because some of them, when most of them are just so accomplished and like inside and out beautiful, like just it's like so I'm trying to like help them get the confidence to realize that they're not invisible. And yeah, so the multifaceted thing is really
And
interesting
that's
too because yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but that is the biggest surprise to me
Mm,
of women, even at this age, how much I'm having to help them with the confidence and the
yeah.
perfectionism. I thought it would be a bit less with this
Mm,
demographic. And believe me, it is a bit less than some younger women for sure. But wow, what we have to push through is fascinating. And I
yes.
love helping people through that. But
Yeah.
man, yeah,
That's a lot. Yeah. Speaking of that, so for women who might be listening who are thinking, starting something new or chasing whatever their dreams are, they have a lot of fears. And so what are some of the big ones that you come across and what would you advise them to who think
yeah,
that maybe it's too late or whatever to go after that thing?
yeah. My advice is don't think and just do. Because I find that we are so incredibly able to think ourselves right out of our dreams.
Yes. Yeah.
And the truth is that it is the impetus of that bright idea that is correct. That is right. All the other thinking behind that are all the fears and the reasons why you shouldn't do it or what you run into or what's going to be a barrier or what's going to be an obstacle. And I wish I could say that those thoughts were coming from a strategic viewpoint, because strategically, yes, you do need to look at barriers and obstacles and kind of go, how am I going to overcome those? But unfortunately, I think it becomes a bit emotional and it's
Hmm.
just becoming a stop in somebody actually going after their dream. And so my advice is don't think, just do, and
Hmm.
be okay with maybe you didn't make a correct decision, but move very quickly so that you don't think yourself out of it. I try
Hmm.
and keep the ladies who work with me very busy, because I find if we're busy, making progress towards our goal is less room to pull in the problems or the insecurities or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stay
Yeah.
busy and go,
Or
you
the
know?
perfectionism, right? Right. Yes. Yeah. Is
It's a
what would you
thing.
what would you say are some of the biggest obstacles that they come to you, or that you see them then facing, that are holding them back?
Time and time again, what they say is that they love having their quote unquote person, that they can say the bright idea, that they can communicate to me on it, and I just back them up as their biggest cheerleader to move forward. So one might be like, I have an idea of doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I love that idea. That's a perfect idea. And they go, great. And just that gives them the confidence to move forward on that idea. I think that the majority of women feel alone,
Hmm.
and to have a mentor like yourself or like me to really help them through. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know, selfishly, and Kavita, you might feel the same way. Like it helps me too.
Hmm.
But just to have someone who's on your side and has your back. And I don't agree with every idea, but at least there's most of their ideas are fantastic. I'm like, yes, let's go, let's do it. What do you need help with? How can I help you get
Yeah.
that done?
Yeah.
That I think is the most help that I can really provide them.
Yeah. And so the obstacle there is that they
They
don't
feel
know how
alone.
to do they don't know how to do it on their own, or they just are like they're stuck, or because that's what
Just
I
trusting.
yeah.
Yeah. That's that what you find
Yeah.
too?
I find yeah, it's just yeah, they have a lot of dreams and aspirations, but they just don't know how to go about doing it. They feel stuck.
Yeah.
And they're not completely convinced that they're able to do it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
either might think, oh, I'm not qualified enough to do this, so let's go back to school or get another certification or whatever it is.
Oh,
But then
yeah.
the job is to really help them understand that they are enough, and they look at all the great things they've already done. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to get your kind of
I'm
thoughts on
pretty
that.
non-sympathetic, to be honest. I sort of
Okay.
like, I'd say it with love, but I'm also, if I have someone who is, well, I don't know, and this, and that, I said, just let's stop that. Let's just stop
Hmm.
that. That is some other voice from somebody else
Hmm.
from the past. Who cares? Nothing you can do. Let's put our attention on the future. And I just get them to start imagining what the possibility could be. And I
Hmm.
find every time we do that, that they lift up and the confidence just goes with that. Because if we
Hmm.
put our attention on future and what we can create, what we can control, what we can paint beautifully, yay. The
Yeah.
past, nothing you can do about any of
Yeah,
that
nothing
stuff.
you can do that. That's right.
That's just there. Ignore
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's great. Yeah, I do a bit of a visioning too, like the great visioning exercise. It's like, well, where do your future visioning your future self,
Yeah.
and where how are you going to get to her, right? And so yeah, that's one of it. It
Yeah.
really does really give you the confidence to like if you actually see yourself doing what you really want to do, and like you just have to it's just about figuring out how to get there,
Yeah,
right?
because you can do that. You can't do anything about the past. You
Yes.
can create the future. Oh, do I need to learn a little something else, or do I need to get this, or should I just have some help? Or,
Yeah.
I'm really building a community too. So a lot of my women out of the gate, they need a survey. They need to find out what they want and what their audience needs and wants. And so I'm building this community so people can help each other and network each other and feel that they have that support, because
Hmm.
they're all in different areas and industries, but they all can help each other. And I think that that
That's
group and feeling
important.
like you
Yeah.
belong, yeah,
That's really
really,
important.
it's
Yeah.
confidence boosting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So Jenna, when you're working with women and like they're kind of at this transition point in their lives, perhaps they're trying to want to get into a different career, or maybe they've gone through a divorce and they're like or whatever it is. We hear about personal brands. And so tell us a little bit about how would you advise women, to kind of rebuild their brand, or what would be the key elements of that? Like, how do we go about, I guess it's part of the reinvention story, but really like kind of what is important in rebuilding or rebranding ourselves?
Yeah, I think that it can't be a non sequitur activity. I think it all has to stem from what is the goal of what you want to achieve, or goals. You can have more than one goal.
Hmm.
And what is the purpose, the why for you wanting to go after those goals? And as we start to take that into consideration, we start looking at that, the brand starts to come together. Because once you establish what that goal is, okay, now you have to establish what audience that goal is good for. Because I really focus on business. I don't do personal coaching. Obviously, there's some personal that comes together, but
Sure.
that's not what I'm an expert in. I'm an
Yeah.
expert in
Yeah.
really business development and marketing and how to expand and how to get your messaging out there and really building those leaders up, how to be a leader, right? How
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
impact change and get others to be the most competent that they can. But once we establish the purpose, the goal, the audience, and what their product or service is going to be for that audience, we then start to what I like to call become the marketing detective. And we have to survey that audience. We have to get in communication with that audience. We have to go immerse ourselves in those kind of people. So it's really important to decide who is it that you want to hang out with and that you want to be
Hmm.
serving, because you do need to know them well. And then from there, we do another step in marketing, which is benchmarking. What are your competitors doing? What is their approach?
Hmm.
Start studying them and learning so then you know what your differentiator is. And then when you know that, that's when we start looking at brand. Because what is a brand? A brand is what makes you uniquely different amongst your industry.
Hmm.
So you need to know what are others doing to understand how you're different, to understand how to create your brand, and
Right.
then what's going to back that up. So I talk a little bit about this, and I have an online course coming out, and I do talk about this, and I show some examples of if I'm doing a brand. Let's say I want to do a very negative brand, and I want to do something where I just really want to bring people down. Well, my colors will probably be awful and they probably won't mix well. And my voice will probably be very monotone and apathetic. But if I want to do a brand to help young mothers overcome their sleep struggles and get their newborns to sleep, I'm probably going to choose pastels and lighter and brighter colors. And my communication is going to be so, but that all goes into what was the goals of the business and what I want to do. And then I think your brand comes out of that. And your
Mm.
personal brand as a female, well, honestly, I want everyone to be a leader, whether it's 5 people, 100 people, or 1,000 people. So they need to work on their audience, understand them so that they can address that and lift them up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that purpose goal, and then the marketing detective and the benchmarking. That's really important.
Yeah.
And also, would you say, I always think about when you're trying to serve whoever you're trying to serve or whoever you want to serve, it's really understanding also their pains, right? And what are their struggles, and how does what you offer solve or help those pains, or alleviate those pains?
Yeah, it's
So
pains
yeah,
and pleasure. People
yeah,
buy either because they're trying to solve a problem of handling
yeah.
a pain, or there's some sort of experience or pleasure that they want to have. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Some of my ladies don't believe me, and I said, well, just watch what you buy. Just
that's
watch what
true.
you buy.
That's true.
Am I buying because I have a problem, or am I buying because, ooh, that looks really pretty and I want to have it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So we talked about the obstacles that women face, but so when we touched this on it a little bit, but I wanted to kind of get from your perspective and your life experience that how did you find the courage, for example, to go from what you were doing before to do this? Because it's completely different, right? And I know that you had that aha moment or whatever, but how did you develop the courage? And what would you say for women who are listening, who are also like, I have an idea, I think I want to do this, but I don't really know if I have spa or whatever. How do you say that?
The
To do
chutzpah.
that spa. The courage and
Yes.
sounds. Yeah.
Good Yiddish term. Yes. The chutzpah.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to invest in yourself. And I have spent a number of years working on myself and learning
Yeah.
about life and learning about me. And it really is the best money spent. I mean, who cares about money when you're learning about yourself? And this is going to sound so silly and simple, but I think you'll really get it. I think it was last March, I was reading something and I was, again, working on myself and I realized, wow, I'm actually my own best friend. Because I think it's so easy to be a best friend to others and to help others. At least for me, I find that really easy. But I kept sort of putting myself in the wings. I kept putting myself in the wings. I kept putting
Hmm.
myself in the
Hmm.
wings. And I was like, wait a second. Hold everything. What about being a best friend to myself? And again, it
Yeah.
sounds really simple, but that
It's the
knowing that I
hardest
have
thing.
it is, but knowing that I have myself to support me because I'm pretty good at doing it,
Yeah.
it really, really, I don't know how it happened. I can't even give you the mechanics of it, but there was a confidence boost. I mean, to the point where I've lost 42 pounds in the last 5 months. There's a
What?
self-care that is,
In the last
yes,
5 months? 42 pounds?
since January. Sorry, we're seven
Oh my
months.
God.
I'm like
Wow.
catching up with time. Yeah. So I've lost weight. I would smoke from time to time. I don't do that. Like all these things that were kind of destructive behaviors.
Mm.
I'm taking more time out for my children. Like I just decided, and that honestly has been such a confidence booster. I've made
Mm.
smaller goals for myself and I've achieved them. I've had more play. I've had more fun and not feeling like there's this coping thing. Yes, I'm getting up early in the morning to work, but I'm enjoying it. The whole house is asleep. I have my cup of coffee. I like sit there with my dog and I start creating and working and planning the next thing I'm going to do. And that's pleasurable to me. So
Yeah.
I would say that's what really gave me the confidence was really just taking a look at what do I like about myself and what are my attributes?
Hmm.
And how can I just reinforce those things? The same thing I would do for you or for someone else. I just
Yeah.
started doing it for myself.
Just being your best friend. I love it.
Yeah.
I kind of equate that to kind of what I do and what I've like, and I agree completely that investment in yourself is the ultimate. Like I don't know how many it's crazy how many thousands of dollars I've spent on my own personal development, and
Yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, if and I think people who need that should seek out people like you or me, right, to develop whatever they feel that they
Yeah.
need to. But I was going to say that being your own best friend is kind of like for me, it's like my inner self is my inner being matching with my outer self,
Yeah.
right? And if
That's
there's a
right.
mismatch, then there's something you can tell because you're feeling there's something missing, right?
Yeah.
And the only way you know that you can understand it is to tap into like what really makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
means like it's just like if you were going out for lunch with a friend, it's like
Right. Yeah.
ask yourself, what do you need, right?
Yeah.
What do you need
That's
to
right.
make yourself happy? So
And I think
that
the
makes
older I become, the more that I have the ability to kind of stand outside myself and look in instead of looking in within.
that.
Because I
So
feel like I can step outside of myself and take a
yes.
look. And
Okay.
I could
Yeah.
admire those things that I like. And I'm not talking about physical. I'm also talking about my behavior with others, my behavior with family, how productive I'm being. Sure, the
Hmm.
physical look as well. But I have the more ability to stand outside and kind of look and admire those things about myself. You probably see this on social sometimes where people are like, I can't believe I thought I was fat at age 20. I can't believe I thought I was this. And you're like, oh, I was pretty cute then. But more ability to do that, where up until this point, I think I was sort of looking at myself from how I felt inside. Sometimes you don't always feel great.
No. Yeah.
And if you look through that lens,
Yeah.
you might be a bit critical of yourself.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I have these tips about like how to build confidence, and some of them are so simple. And we were talking earlier when we got on the call, I was like, I love the color of your shirt. And it's about wearing bright colors. It's about and yeah, like if you want to lose weight and that makes you feel good, then do it. Don't just do it because you think that do it for yourself, but that will give you the confidence. So these little things are really, really, really important.
Yeah,
So wonderful.
absolutely.
So Jenna, tell us about your business, you know, your what your aspirations are, what your envision, what your vision is, how do you empower women and all of that good stuff. So we
Yeah.
can learn a little bit more about exactly what it is that your community does and what you do.
Yeah. So the broad vision is to really create a global community. of women that can truly network and help each other. I do this through speaking, through coaching, and through what I love, or my heart is creating these retreats that I call workcations, where women can take 5 days, get removed from their normal environment, go to some beautiful place where they can really put their attention on the future, what they want to create. And I can help provide the tools for them, whether I bring other experts in to talk about what they're good at, or I'm teaching in regards to marketing and advertising and PR and how to build an audience and how to get your message out there, but just create resources for women. And
Hmm.
maybe the retreats aren't always me speaking. It doesn't need to be the Jenna Capozzi show, in all honesty. I really like the ensemble of pulling experts together. I find other people interesting. People have all had experiences, and it's great to share on them. Like I have one coming up in the fall that's going to be all for founders and CEOs, and I'm bringing experts in to just communicate about different ways that they can invest in themselves, in their business, how to expand, how to scale, how to get to that next level so that in turn they can lead others and help them. So
Mhm.
that is really the vision. And it all started with the fact that I love to travel and I love to speak and I love to help. And so I figured, well, let's create a business that I'm going to enjoy doing every day. So people can still find me on jennacapozzi.com, but it's fun. It's
Wonderful.
fun to find a name, yeah, that I can finally
Wonderful.
aligns with my core values.
Yeah, that's great. So, Jenna, is there anything that I missed asking you that you really want to impart for women who are listening? And again, the women who are listening or maybe they're feeling a little stuck. They're at this stage where it's like they know they have a lot more, but they just don't know how to
Yeah.
how to get there. So, any words of wisdom that maybe we haven't expressed yet?
Yeah, I think that whether you're helping one person, 5 people, or 100 people, that is still making a change in someone else's life.
Hmm.
And if you're feeling a lack of confidence, you almost need to ignore that lack of confidence and just start creating and just pick one person you can actually help. I find my happiness in actually helping someone. I find I'm very wealthy because I'm able to help a lot of people. And
That's wonderful.
in turn, you also learn something. But
Hmm.
the one of the key elements to that is just do something different than what you've been doing. You're not going to get a different result by keep doing the same thing. I know it's elementary, but just to hear that back is you just need to do something different.
Hmm.
And investing, whether they're going to work with you or work with me or whoever it is, just investing a little time and energy into yourself and taking a look at your life from a different viewpoint is really amazing.
It is, isn't it?
It is. It
It
just,
just opens up so much, and then if you're more the more you're open to these possibilities, then the more and more people things are attracted to you.
yes,
People, circumstances, anything, and but you just
opportunities.
have to opportunities. You just have to be
Yeah.
open, and I think
Yeah.
that that's the key. Is like as long as you're open
Yeah.
and willing to let it all in
And
without the
and I
barriers.
yeah, and I get it. It's tough to communicate sometimes. It's tough to get the ball rolling because throughout your life you've maybe been criticized for the way you communicated or people didn't like the way you said something or whatever it is and you start holding yourself back. But man, the amount of energy and effort it takes to hold yourself back is exhausting.
Yes, might as well use it to push yourself forward,
Might as well
right?
push it. Yeah, exactly. Push
Yeah,
yourself forward.
exactly.
Exactly. I do have a gift for any of your listeners, though.
Yes,
So,
please share how we can
it's
find you and gifts and all that good stuff.
yeah. So, leadwithjenna.com is it's a leader builder, and it will take someone through goal finding, purpose finding. It will take you all the way through to doing some branding and creating your style and niche and looks and colors and all that. It's you're not going to walk away with the whole enchilada, but it's going to get enough. It asks you enough questions to start opening the door for some things. And on the other side of that, if anybody wants to have a free 30-minute assessment or session with me, they can. That's on the back side of that. And I'm very happy to meet with anybody and listen and help. I think my superpower is to listen. So
Well, I can attest to that because we've had a great conversation. Well, that's
absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you for sharing those gifts. And again,
Yeah.
where can people
Yeah.
find you?
Yeah.
Is it
Well, Lead with Jenna is the best because most people can't spell my last name. That's why we're changing to Elevate Power, but
okay?
jennacapozzi.com.
Okay.
So obviously in the show notes, it will have the
Yes.
correct.
Yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, this has been wonderful. I really, really appreciate it. I think it's very, very energizing, and you have a wonderful energy around you. So I think
Yeah.
anyone who is looking to elevate their leadership, and yeah, oh, I didn't even mean to say that. I just said
See, I know. It's
it.
amazing. It's like
It just came.
magic. It was the most surveyed word. I survey these
Yeah,
things.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you
And everyone
do.
needs to step
No,
into their power. You know,
yes,
stepping into
elevate.
power.
Anybody who wants to elevate their power, just approach Jenna, and it was a pleasure, a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I trust you enjoyed my conversation with Jenna Capozzi, and it provided you with the inspiration you need to rebuild your confidence and become your own leader, especially after 40. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, regaining confidence is possible at any age. Midlife is an opportunity to rebuild your self worth and take control of both your personal and professional life. Number 2, becoming your own leader is essential for long term fulfillment. Whether you're in a career or through entrepreneurship, leading your own journey gives you the power to shape your future. And number 3, the right support system is key to success. Surround yourself with people who inspire, challenge, and support you as you pursue your goals. If you're at the stage of your life where you feel like you need more, you have more to offer, but perhaps you just don't know what it is or don't know how to get started, start by taking my short career and life fulfillment quiz. It takes less than a minute, but you will receive a fulfillment score and information on what that actually means to move your life forward. It starts by taking the first step with courage, so don't hesitate to take the quiz or reach out to me for a complimentary breakthrough call. There is no obligation, just a conversation on how you can break through from what is stopping you from living your next chapter fully. Remember, my friend, if not now, when? Till next time, stay well and be happy.